Step into the world of shadowpit mysteries, where intrigue and suspense collide in tales that will keep you guessing until the very end. Here, the smallest details hold the biggest answers, and every shadow tells a story, waiting to be discovered. Take a deep breath, open your mind, and join us as we unravel the mysteries that lie just beyond the light.
The Last Future, a mystery story by Grave Pit Shadows. The city, once gripped by chaos, was beginning to turn. Todd Richardson's network, which had spread like wildfire, was unraveling. The news had started reporting on raids across the country. Safe houses torched, lieutenants captured, encrypted broadcasts disrupted. For the first time in months, the streets were quieter, but the silence was not one of peace. It was the silence before the end. Detective Rachel Mills sat at the precinct's tactical board, scanning a map littered with red pins. Each pin marked the fall of a cell, but the largest marker, positioned on the outskirts of the industrial sector, remained untouched. "This is where he's hiding," Mills said, her voice low and steady. "The bunker's gone. The factories are destroyed. This is his last stronghold."
Davenport leaned back in his chair, the exhaustion etched into his face. Why hasn't he moved yet? Why is he just sitting there?
"Because he's waiting for us," Mills replied, looking at the large, ominous circle drawn around the industrial zone. "And we're going to give him exactly what he wants." The stronghold was a sprawling, abandoned chemical refinery. Miles of rusted pipes and crumbling concrete lit only by the flicker of Mills and Davenport's flashlights. A tactical unit moved in behind them, radios crackling faintly in the still, cold air. "This place is rigged to hell," one officer whispered, eyeing the blinking lights of makeshift explosives planted along the walls. Mills raised a hand, stopping the team. The faint echo of chanting reached her ears. "The future is now." The words bounced through the corridors, low and mechanical, like a recording played on a loop. Davenport gripped his gun tighter. "This is it," Mills said, taking the lead. They entered the heart of the refinery, a massive, domed chamber. Inside, dozens of Todd's most devout followers knelt in concentric circles, their masked faces turned upward to a screen at the center of the room. The screen flickered to life, displaying Todd's image, calm, defiant. "Welcome, detectives," Todd's voice boomed. "You've made it to the end. But tell me, did you think this would stop here?" In the far corner of the chamber, Todd stood in the flesh, flanked by two loyalists. He didn't run. He didn't even flinch as Mills and Davenport stormed forward, weapons drawn. "You're done, Todd," Mills shouted, her voice echoing. "It's over." Todd smiled faintly. "Over? No, detective. This is just the moment where you believe you've won." With a nod, one of Todd's men triggered a switch. Explosions erupted in the distance, rocking the refinery. The followers rose in unison, scattering like shadows into the darkness. Todd held his hands up calmly, surrendering. "You can take me," he said softly. "But the future doesn't need me anymore." Davenport restrained him, dragging Todd toward the tactical team. "Call it in," Davenport muttered. "We've got him." But Mills' eyes darted around the crumbling chamber. "Where's the target?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Where's the attack happening?" Todd smiled as alarms screamed across the city. "Somewhere you won't be in time for." The coordinated attacks began within minutes of Todd's capture. Gas leaks detonated across several key blocks of the city, communications towers fried, emergency responders flooded with false calls. Mills and Davenport worked tirelessly to contain the chaos, but they both knew it. Todd had planned for this. Back at the precinct, Mills interrogated him face to face. Todd, shackled to the table, remained eerily calm. "You're a coward," Mills growled. "You hid behind others because you couldn't face the world you hated." Todd leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "I showed them the way. I lit the fire. It doesn't matter if you put me in a box. Detective, a spark is all it takes." Mills stared at him, fists clenched. "We'll stamp it out." Todd tilted his head, smiling faintly. "Then you'd better move faster. The future has already begun." The attacks left the city bruised but not broken. Emergency services restored power, and the streets slowly reopened. News outlets plastered Todd's face across their broadcasts, reporting on his capture with a mix of relief and fear. Yet faint traces of his ideology lingered. Graffiti appeared on subway walls. "The future has no end." A masked figure was spotted in a protest crowd, holding a sign that read, "We are watching." Mills stood with Davenport on the steps of the precinct, watching the city rebuild. "He's locked up," Davenport said, lighting a cigarette. "We did it." Mills nodded, her gaze distant. "Yeah, but for how long?" A group of teenagers passed by on bicycles, one wearing a hoodie with Todd's symbol etched in white. Davenport noticed it, scowling. "You think this ever ends?" Mills sighed. "No, but we'll keep fighting." In the distance, the skyline flickered with light and shadow. Somewhere, far from their reach, the next spark awaited ignition. Todd was secured in a high-security black site. The media called his capture a victory, but Mills and Davenport knew better. In his cell, Todd sat alone in silence, staring at the blank wall as though it were a canvas only he could see. A guard passing by swore he heard him whisper something faintly. "The future is now." Meanwhile, reports began to surface across the country. Coordinated graffiti, masked figures, and whispers of new leaders rising in Todd's wake. His face had been taken from the screens, but his symbol remained, a spark refusing to die. Mills stood on the roof of the precinct, staring at the city below as the distant sirens wailed. Davenport joined her, silent. "It feels like we stopped nothing," Mills said quietly. Davenport lit a cigarette, the orange glow flickering against the dark. "Then we'll stop the next one." Somewhere in the city, a new broadcast began. A voice calm, distorted, and chillingly familiar. "The future cannot be stopped. The future cannot die. You may silence one voice, but there will always be another." The screen went dark.
The story may have ended, but the shadows linger on. Thank you for watching Shadow Pit Mysteries. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments. We're always eager to hear what you uncover. Stay tuned for more chilling tales. And as always, be careful of the secrets lurking in the dark.